Hello, Lions fans! It's been a mixed season for the Detroit Lions, but one thing we can all agree on is that our defense needs some serious improvement heading into the 2025 season. But before we go any further, tell me, do you think Brad Holmes is doing a good job with the Lions? Comment below. I want to hear from you. Be sure to hit that like button to stay in the loop. Now, let's get to the news. Well, it looks like the Lions are making some major changes to solidify that defensive line and ensure we have the right leadership in place. How, you ask? The Detroit Lions are reportedly interviewing none other than former Michigan star and two-time Super Bowl champion Larry Foote for their defensive coordinator position. That's right, Lions fans, it looks like we're looking at a new face to lead the defense, and it's a familiar one. Larry Foote, a Detroit native, has quite the pedigree when it comes to defense. After an impressive college career at Michigan, he won 2 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's no stranger to the big moments. After retiring, Foote turned to coaching and has been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2019, where he served as the passing game coordinator and inside linebackers coach. Under his watch, the Bucs have put together some impressive defensive performances, and his experience could be just what the Lions need to take our defense to the next level. Let's break it down a little bit. The Lions have been searching for a new defensive coordinator ever since Aaron Glenn accepted the head coaching job with the New York Jets. And now, Foote's name is at the top of the list. His experience as a coach and player, combined with his knowledge of the game, could bring a fresh perspective to a Lions defense that has been good but certainly has room for improvement. What makes this even more interesting is the fact that the Bucs were the team that handed the Lions one of their 2 regular season losses this year, a tough 20-16 loss where Tampa's defense held Detroit to just 1 touchdown on 7 trips to the red zone. Clearly, Foote knows how to execute a game plan that can shut down high-powered offenses like ours. But that's not all. We also learned that the Lions are in talks to hire Casey Rogers, the Bucs defensive line coach and running game coordinator, as our new defensive line coach. Rogers has done a fantastic job in Tampa, helping lead the Bucs to the 4th best rushing defense in the league this season. Pairing him with Foote could be a game-changer for the Lions. As Lions fans, we all know how important it is to have the right coaching staff in place. With head coach Dan Campbell leading the offense and the potential addition of Foote and Rogers, the 2025 season looks like it could be a big year for our defense. But we want to hear from you, Lions fans. What do you think of these potential changes? Are you excited about Larry Foote becoming our new defensive coordinator? What about Casey Rogers joining the team? Now, let's talk about what could be an epic move for the Detroit Lions as we dive into the 2025 NFL Draft. As we look ahead to the new season, it's pretty clear that the Lions have some work to do on the defensive side of the ball. Sure, Jared Goff's performance during the loss to the Washington Commanders got its fair share of scrutiny, but the real issue was the defense. Allowing 38 points in that game and allowing 4 of their last 6 opponents to score 30-plus points is not something any team can afford. So with this glaring need for improvement on defense, let's dive into the latest mock draft from Athlon Sports draft expert Luke Easterling. In his first-round prediction, Easterling sees the Lions going after a key piece to help solidify their defense. And who does he think the Lions will select? None other than Ohio State's Jack Sawyer, a star edge rusher who helped lead the Buckeyes on a dominant run during this year's college football playoffs. Now, Sawyer has made a name for himself with a series of jaw-dropping performances, recording 4.5 sacks in a 3-game stretch against Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. But here's the thing. Those 4.5 sacks matched his total from the first 12 games of the season. While Sawyer's sack numbers throughout his college career haven't exactly been impressive, there's no doubting his potential. The Lions need players who can get the job done, and that's something the team struggled with last season. Despite ranking 4th in the league with a 26.2% pressure rate, the Lions had trouble converting that pressure into actual sacks. They didn't manage a single sack against the Commanders in the playoffs and finished the regular season with the 10th fewest sacks in the NFL. With that in mind, edge rusher is definitely one of the team's most pressing needs. However, the good news is that the Lions could find an even better fit at that position later in the draft, as there's another player projected to fit the team's needs perfectly. In the second round of this mock draft, Easterling has the Lions selecting Florida State cornerback Azariah H. Thomas. Now, let's talk about Thomas. This guy is a lockdown defender who has proven himself against some of the best quarterbacks in college football. Over the past 2 seasons, Thomas has held opposing QBs to just a 50% completion rate when targeting him. Not only that, but he's also defended 14 passes during that time and allowed just 17 completions in 2024. With 52 total tackles last season, Thomas is exactly the type of physical cornerback that Lions head coach Dan Campbell loves to have on his team. So, what does this mean for the Lions? It seems pretty clear that Detroit will be focusing heavily on improving its defense heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. Whether they sign Jack Sawyer to boost the pass rush or Azariah Thomas to block receivers, one thing is for sure, the defense is about to get a serious upgrade. What do you think, Lions fans? Do you agree with this mock draft prediction? Would Jack Sawyer be the right choice for the Lions in the first round, or should they focus on a different position? And what about Azariah Thomas in the second round? Would he be the physical, playmaking corner we need? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's talk about one of the hottest topics in the Lions community right now, Ben Johnson, our former offensive coordinator, and his move to the Chicago Bears. You've probably seen the rumors circulating, with some suggesting that there may have been tension between Johnson and Lions head coach Dan Campbell. So, what's the truth? Well, in a recent appearance on FS1's Breakfast Ball, Ben Johnson set the record straight and denied any talk of friction between him and Campbell. When asked about the alleged tension, Johnson responded with a firm no. He went on to say, "I've never heard of that before in my life. This guy is one of my best friends, he's a mentor of mine, and I look at him as family." So there you have it, Lions fans, no drama, just respect and admiration between the two. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Johnson's move to the Chicago Bears. As many of you know, this is a tough pill to swallow, especially with the Bears being a division rival. Fans were understandably frustrated by the departure, and some even wondered if Johnson's departure had anything to do with internal issues. But Ben made it clear that wasn't the case. His move to Chicago was simply part of his journey, and while we'll miss him, he leaves with nothing but good wishes for his former team and coach. But here's where things get interesting. Johnson also took some time to reflect on the Lions' disappointing playoff loss to the Washington Commanders. He admitted that he was still feeling the sting of that loss, and he was quick to take responsibility for some of the plays in that game. Johnson said, "I look at myself first, and whenever a play doesn't work, I question why it was called, when it was called, and whether or not those reasons are valid." He also mentioned that there were fundamental flaws throughout the game that were uncharacteristic of the Lions. Drops, penalties, and turnovers all reared their ugly heads at the worst possible time. Johnson noted, "Last week against Washington, we had 5 drops in that game, we had a couple false starts, and of course, 5 turnovers. Frankly, that's not winning football." What do you think, Lions fans? Are you relieved to hear there was no tension between Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, or are you still concerned about the direction the team is headed? And what about the playoff loss to Washington? Do you think Johnson was too hard on himself, or were his critics right? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. Go Lions!